At Evernorth Health Services, we believe costs shouldn't get in the way of life-changing care, and we're doing everything in our power to make it possible. Behavioral health solutions that also keep your projections at their best? It's possible. Pharmacy benefits that benefit your bottom line? It's possible. Complex specialty care that cares about your ROI? It's possible. Because we're already doing it. All while saving businesses billions. That's Wonder made possible. Learn more at evernorth.com/wonder.
Look, Bumble knows you're exhausted by dating. All the must not take yourself too seriously and 6'1" since that matters. And what do I even say other than hey? Well, that's why they're introducing an all-new Bumble with exciting features to make compatibility easier, starting the chat better, and dating safer. They've changed, so you don't have to. Download the new Bumble now.
Today's episode, we're going to talk about the roaring kitties are making a comeback. Well, one kitty's making a comeback. And we're also going to talk about the benefits of revenue diversification and what that means and how to do it. Enjoy.
Were you calling to me from outside of a dream? I wanna live, I wanna love you a little longer. I was invincible many years ago when I was so much stronger.
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I'm the founder and CEO of Q Consolidated Limited. We focus on investing and creating businesses in the media and entertainment space, financing, investing in insurance, education and e-learning, art, music, and the humanities, earth and human sustainability and advancement, and earth and space exploration and transportation. Our current businesses include 3T Warrior Academy, Q Financial, Age of Radio, and Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, to name a few. You can find me on all socials at Age of Jeremy. Make sure you follow me on YouTube at Age of Jeremy. You can follow me on X at Age of Jeremy Q and on Facebook at Cesar Jeremy Quintanilla. We are super, super excited for all the amazing podcasts that we are creating on our Age of Radioverse. So make sure that you check out Age of Radio on YouTube as well. All of our podcasts are going there. Subscribe to it, from Mysterious Circumstances to the Motivation, Health, and Life podcast with CJV to Dark Windows, archived episodes of Color Me Dead, archived episodes of Murder Under the Midnight Sun. We have What Were They Thinking? We have great new podcasts from The Healthy Grocer. There's all kinds of stuff that is coming your way at the Age of Radio Podcast Network, so make sure that you're a part of it. We're also trying to build the strongest podcasting and content creator community on the planet, and we are doing that utilizing our Facebook group, Addicted to Podcasting. You can find links in the episode description. You can also join our Discord, our Age of Radio Discord. We have a new community manager, Creator Trey, and he is doing a fantastic job. And we have some really exciting events and things planned for you in the future that we are working on, but he is in there every day creating content, or I guess creating conversation that can be an inspiration for content, I suppose, and also a place for all of the audience members from all of the Age of Radioverse to come together and hang out. If you don't know what the Age of Radioverse is, essentially Age of Radio provides a podcast network for everybody to work together to grow their shows by cross-promoting, maybe cross-being on each other's shows, like What Were They Thinking does with Home Video Hustle and everything I learned from movies. And so there are all kinds of opportunities that are available when you're part of a large community, and we are just continuously focusing on growing that. We're also building it into a news media company. We're trying to get podcasting news out on a regular basis. I'm doing posts on our Instagram, on our YouTube, in short video format, so you know what's going on in the podcast world. We're also working on creating a Spaces show. So there's all kinds of stuff that's going on for Age of Radio, and we want to be your source for podcast news and eventually content creator and gaming news and in the indie space as well. We're continuing to work on that. We'll also be at Phoenix Fan Fusion. We don't have a booth this year. We're working on that, but we will be doing live from our Cause Talk live show. So make sure that you check that out. And I know that we have so much stuff going on. I just want to mention a few more things. If you want to be a part of our 3T Warrior Academy, make sure that you follow Coach CJV or Coach JV to learn more about that. You can also subscribe to my Dope Updates channel inside of my Instagram. There's about 24 members. Those are my hardcore fans, I suppose. And so I give other insights into stuff and some other topics that I talk about in there as well. So make sure that you check that out too. And I'll be working on creating better and more content for all the places that I'm providing content. So just make sure that you are a part of them. The last thing that I want to mention, if you are interested in learning about life insurance, there's a form that you can fill out in the episode description. We talk about indexed universal life insurance. You need to be protecting your wealth because if you're in crypto or stocks, as you gain your wealth and you pull profits, you want to take them from the riskier assets, pull those profits and move them to maybe some better, less risky assets. We call that moving it from one side of the risk pyramid to the other, or maybe to the bottom of the risk pyramid. And one of those opportunities is through life insurance, cash value life insurance. So there's a form that you can fill out below if you want to sit with me and we can do a financial consultation. I can also talk to you about investing. We can talk a little bit about maybe taxes as well. Or if you have a business and you want to learn about bookkeeping, you can fill out that form and we can go over that as well. So without further ado, I want to talk about this roaring kitty. Yes, you heard me correctly. I want to talk about that roaring kitty. And no, that is not an innuendo of some type. GameStop shares soar as roaring kitty revitalizes retail frenzy. This is from Suprat Panik and Bailey Lipschultz from Bloomberg reporting. Again, I get a lot of my information from Bloomberg. I'm a big Bloomberg fan. Take that however you want. GameStop Corp shares surged as speculation swirled around a return to social media by Keith Gill, who drove the meme stock mania of 2021 under the moniker Roaring Kitty. The account's post on X showed a man leaning forward with what looked like a gaming controller. And again, there is a link to this episode description in the episode description. The account's post on X showed a man leaning forward with what looked like a gaming controller, which some traders interpreted to mean that Gill is coming back into action. Gill, whose account has long been dormant, shot to fame in 2021 by rallying day traders on Reddit in an effort to squeeze GameStop short sellers. The post has attracted more than 20 million views in the hours since its publication. Gill posted on X again at 11 a.m. New York time. This time, a short video clip stating, "Fine, I'll do it myself." The reaction to Gill's initial post shows shades of the original 2021 mania, with chatter across Reddit's Wall Street bets and activity on stock twits, sparking a rush of retail trader buying. That he, and this is a quote, that he is able to generate a crowd, says that the crowd is back to feeling FOMO and YOLO in an enormous way, said Peter Atwater, president of Financial Insights and an adjunct professor at William & Mary and the University of Delaware. When people dive into things that are of pure speculative value, their confidence is extremely high, and this is one of the ways that it manifests. More than 175 million shares changed hands, almost 30 times the one-year average. Trading was halted for volatility 9 times within the opening 90 minutes of trading. Shares rose as much as 119% Monday. They closed higher by 74% at $30.45. GameStop ripped off a 3-week rally in the lead up to Monday's pop, its longest such winning streak this year, as shares soared 68% over the stretch as of Friday's close. The stock famously soared more than 2,000% in early 2021, bringing the meme stock frenzy into the broader public consciousness. When adjusting for a stock split, the shares peaked at 86.88 near the end of that month before crashing about 88% in the 3 weeks following. Roaring Kitty helped draw attention to the stock's eye-popping short interest ratio. Some 140% of available shares were sold short as investors bet on the entrepreneur turned retail trading icon Ryan Cohn. Cohn, the video game retailer's largest shareholder, who has a cult-like following among individual investors, built out a stake through early 2021 and pushed to essentially take over the company as retail traders cheered him on. After selling Chewy Inc., the pet retailer he co-founded, for more than $3 billion in 2017, he plowed much of that into Apple Inc. stock, which went on to rally. His firm, RC Ventures LLC, first to close its GameStop stake in 2020 when the shares traded below $2 on a split-adjusted basis. The billionaire has since built his position to some 36.8 million shares, accounting for 12% of the company as he became chief executive officer, president, and chairman of the board. Late last year, the company disclosed an unorthodox plan for its roughly $900 million in cash and equivalents, allowing Cohn to buy stocks of other companies. While Gill and Cohn have been cast as icons among the hordes of retail traders who praised the duo, many who were late to the initial mania were left holding an almost empty bag. Shares have lost nearly 3/4 of their value from a January 2021 peak, when so-called Reddit raiders flocked to the stock. It need to more than quadruple from Monday's levels to recoup all of their losses. It's worth noting that the percentage of shares available for trading sold short has stayed at roughly 24%, according to financial analytics firm S3 Partners. That's elevated for a typical company, but nowhere near the levels that preceded the 2021 mania. With no clear catalyst driving the recent gains, GameStop moves has again seen retail investors make up the bulk of demand. Inflows through the last week totaled 12 million, according to Giacomo Pierantoni, head of data at Vanda Research. All right, so I'm going to stop right there. This article goes on to talk a little bit about the meme stocks, what the risk is involved with a lot of this stuff. So make sure that you check out that Bloomberg article. I just want to mention a few things. I encourage people, don't get involved with this type of retail trading. You can if you want, but I recommend that you have enough liquidity and you have a good financial position to take on the risks that go along with it. You have to be looking at these types of things on a regular basis. This is a perfect example of the unrealistic intrinsic value that lies within stocks as opposed to the price value of their shares of stock. And that's one of the reasons why I look for companies that are long-term holding companies and not focused on making money through these types of opportunities. That doesn't mean that these opportunities don't exist all around us and we can find them. And in the future, I will probably have financial firms or a financial team that works on these types of things. But this is specifically all hype. This is about a cult following that can get in and out of a market. And as they mentioned in 2021, there were a lot of people that were left holding a bunch of stock that was worthless. And a lot of those people aren't going to make their money back. And that's one of the problems when we're doing these types of investing and getting people in and not getting in at the right time and not getting out at the right time. That's why having an exit strategy in place for certain things is super important. The other thing is, as I've mentioned in some of my other, maybe I mentioned this in some TikTok episodes or Instagram episodes, it's super important to have an idea of why it is that you're investing in something and not just listening to someone else. Because if you're listening to someone else and what someone else is doing and you're not paying attention based off of what the other person is doing, you will miss the opportunity, as what happened to some of the people that invested into these things. But on the flip side, I encourage, on the flip side, though, I do support the people being able to make money from these things. It's just that there are a lot of other people that also possibly get hurt in these types of interactions and transactions. So I just tell people to be a little bit, kind of understand their technical analysis, understand the information. A lot of the pricing of a stock and the reason why these things fluctuate is because of liquidity going into an asset class and that asset class ballooning and then people pulling that and it falling. And then, investors that maybe aren't as sophisticated become other people's exit liquidity, which means that, for example, if like these really good investors have an entry point and an exit point, and they get people to FOMO into that to push up that stock price, and then they pull it when it reaches that. The other people don't know that was the price at which to pull, and if they don't know when to pull their money, then they're going to lose all their money because it's going to be pulled out. And in this case, they had to stop trading for this. There's not going to be cash to be able to pay everybody out, and not everybody is going to have the opportunity to make all of the cash that was built up inside of the stock or whatever it was getting inflated to those heights. And so that's why it's super, super important to really kind of have an idea of what you're doing. And that's why these things are super, super risky, and why educating yourself and not just listening to everybody else is super important. But I do think that it is time for retail traders to not be, excuse my language, let me say it this way, it's to swear. Retail and traders have for a long time been screwed by Wall Street traders, and I am very adamant and encourage retail investors to do their education, read, to learn, and then take advantage of the markets the way that Wall Street and other corporations take advantage of the markets. Investing should be an integral part of every single person's life for them to make money and to create some retirement. And that's one of the things that I think is even more important that we teach people in high school and in college, is the importance of investing, how the stock market works, how asset classes work, how portfolio theory works, how day trading works, so that those people can also make assessments to get into those types of opportunities. It doesn't mean that everybody needs to do that as a full-time job and be an investor, but what it means is that they'll have an understanding so that as they grow their wealth or grow their money in their career, where they went to college for, or where they went to trade school for, or how they are focusing on making their money and spending their time in their life, they can use that money and then invest. And that's why, one of the things my niece is living with us, and one of the things that she has to do is take some investment courses in college, preferably in the county level, because they might not be fully accessible at the university level because you'll have to be assigned to the program or whatever. But so over the summer, she has to take one class, and then as soon as she's done with that one, when she's setting up her next classes, one of the things that she's going to have to take is about personal finance and or investing, so that she can understand how stocks work and eventually how portfolio theory management works. And I think that when we look at wealthy people and we compare them to unwealthy people, they're spending more time with their children and their loved ones and their family on making sure that they understand how these things work, so that then those people aren't taken advantage of. And what ends up happening is a lot of people get taken advantage of by the big Wall Street investors or the big corporations. And one of the reasons why so many people were excited about this meme stock craze and getting into these other stocks is because it allowed them to do the same thing that Wall Street investors do to them with how they are utilizing their liquidity in a marketplace. So that being said, I will get off my soapbox, as my friend Coach JV says, and we will be right back after this. And make sure that you subscribe to Bloomberg. No, we're not sponsored by Bloomberg. I just use their articles. Then you can read them, and I love their reporting. So we'll be right back. I was listening to a podcast, and it was about like people not learning as they continue to go through life or as they grow. We think that when a child is learning and they're failing and they're learning whatever it is, we encourage them. So when a child is learning how to ride a bike, or if they're learning how to play a specific game, or maybe learning how to draw or the guitar, we're always like, yeah, keep with it. We encourage them. But somewhere in our world and in our life, that flips when we become a little bit older. And when we are talking to older people and they come and say, oh, I'm learning a language, like I'm learning German. Now, the people that I'm around are very supportive, but on a regular basis, the world that I live in is different than the world that a lot of people live in. And some people, maybe family or maybe people at their job, will be like, well, that's a waste of time. You're not going to be able to do that being your age or being older. And in this podcast episode, it was speaking of psychology by the American Psychological Association. There was a PhD or an academic that was doing research in learning, and she had learned how to speak German, oddly, or ironically, at the age of 40, I think is when she went back, or she learned how to do ceramics or sculpting or whatever. And one of the cool things that she thought was really, really weird is when she was trying it, people were telling her, that you're too old to do this. You don't have the talent for it, things of that nature. But what was really interesting is after a couple of years of her doing it and creating some decent sculptures, people was like, man, people would be like, oh, you must be have been doing this forever, or you have been doing, or that you have an innate ability, you have an artistic gene, when really anything in life is about us spending time getting better at it and learning it. And it has some really interesting questions about how we learn things as we get older, why we don't learn things when we get older. And I think a lot of that personally has to do with people telling us we can't, us believing that we can't, and 3, we don't have the time for it. Right? Like I said a little bit ago, I live in a different world, right? I have my own businesses. I have the ability to work from home. I have the ability to do whatever it is that I want to do. And I have been able to do that because I sacrificed a ridiculous amount of time for a very long period of time to be able to get to this place. And I had some luck involved. I was able to meet CJV. CJV also has the same work mentality that I do, if not more. He's very strict. He's very focused on building massive amounts of wealth. We have the same goal. So we kind of were able to do that. Where it might not have worked if it was just him and not me, or not me or just me and not him, or whatever the case is. We won't know, because all those things align for these things to happen. Okay. And so, which people will say is destiny. I just call it just the luck. The luck could have been in a different format and we still could have all been wealthy. It's just that the luck that we had with these specific things ended up with this specific timeline that we're currently in right now. And it could have been many different ways. And so because of that, people don't have the capacity to learn and to grow with themselves. And so when I think about the things that I'm learning and growing, most of those things are things that I just want to learn. Like I want to learn German. I want to learn guitar. I want to learn, all different or spend more time on those things. But when it comes to like my actual career and the things that I chose to do, which I still believe were the right things where I think I would have done a little bit differently. I would have focused on music, maybe still got an MBA, focused on investments. But the fact is, I made a valid choice to really focus on finance, and I want to be much better at that and much better in business administration and business in general, because that's what the field was I was doing. And I have lots of businesses, and if we create lots of wealth that we're going to have resources to share with the world, we continuously have to get better at these and learn things. And I'm not saying that I don't learn specific things on a regular basis, but they're not really pertaining to new things inside of my field, especially from an academic way. And so I've been doing a lot of research on universities as it relates to finance, as it relates to business, to get more involved with some of those things that maybe as I grow and build, I can do a professorship talking about business, really looking at the academics of business, not wanting to teach professional all the time business, but maybe teaching in a community college or teaching in a master's class or whatever. There's lots of opportunities. I'm really looking at those. But the point is when I was looking at that, I wanted to think about some of the chief executive offices that we can learn more about. Because it's not just good enough from a executive perspective just to know how the chief executive works. He has to know how the board works. He has to know how the chief financial works. He has to know how the supply chain works. He has to know how the revenue officer works. And so when I was looking at all of these, it got me stuck in a ad algorithm, and I got a Wharton ad for a chief revenue officer. And it reminded me that the chief revenue officer was a thing that exists and a thing that we actually all of us need to know so much more about, because at the end of the day, if our revenue is not growing, our businesses are not growing, right? It's all predicated on how well we can diversify and grow our revenue and how well we can minimize and manage our expenses. And so it's super, super important that in the conversations that I have, that I really advocate and push for those things. Now, yes, my background's in finance and accounting, but finance and accounting is a part that we wouldn't have a job if we weren't making revenue and we weren't looking for other opportunities inside of the world. Okay. Now, in some of this conversation, I'm going to speak a little bit more from the perspective of being a business person and a little less perspective of being an anarchist and anti-capitalist in a lot of way. But the point is that we all need to work on growing revenue. And there's some things that I found online that I kind of wanted to talk about that I think that could be super, super beneficial for anybody that is wanting to increase their revenue. So let's talk a little bit about revenue and what that specifically means. So revenue diversification is essentially each separate thing that you're trying to sell or you're trying to do. We could kind of think of like a ship that has multiple sails. Each of those sails, I don't really like that analogy, but I'm using it anyways, each representing a different revenue stream. So revenue diversification is about spreading different paths or different sails and why to catch different winds from various directions. This is a stupid freaking analogy. But so essentially, it's about us looking at new products, exploring new markets, exploring new business models, and exploring untapped opportunities, and then going and finding solutions in those untapped opportunities, making products and services to get diversification from other sources that still might fit in the overall brand of what we're trying to do. So for example, one of the biggest things that I did wrong in Age of Radio was I only focused on the ad revenue after I gave up on affiliate revenue. And I only gave up on affiliate revenue because it was very time consuming. But the affiliate revenue is another portion or a diversification of revenue that can come from listeners just hearing about what it is and going and buying it, right? Because then you're kind of as long as that affiliate link works and you're able to market to those people, that's a revenue stream that's not predicated on people not wanting to put more money into ad sales. Okay. And so that's the reason why revenue diversification is important, is because if I built a really strong affiliate marketing company inside of how we sell stuff inside of Age of Radio, then we would still have income coming in, and it wouldn't be predicated on ad companies not wanting to spend ads on lower or indie created podcast, right? Really in smaller or in maybe niche markets where we talk a lot about paranormal and true crime. A lot of them spend money on indie creators, but they're large indie creators that they spend on, not on small ones that are up and coming. And so if I had spent more time on the affiliates, and Creator Trey was actually the person that kind of jogged my mind loose on this when he mentioned something to me. He's like, well, do you have an affiliate code for equipment, because we could be selling much more equipment. And that's something that I love. I have so much equipment that I love talking about equipment that I could talk about it on here and say, hey, if you want to use the same setup that I have, there's an affiliate link down below. Yes, we'll get compensated for it, but go check out the L8, use my link and buy it, and we will get compensated. And that's how we can grow that revenue stream. And so the reason why we diversify is because it's just like an investment portfolio, which I talk about so much about diversifying in your investment portfolio, because it mitigates risks. So in my example about the affiliates and the ad sales, if we're relying solely on one revenue source, it's like selling through something with one sell. And I really wish that AI gave me a much better analogy for this. So it won't really end well if we just have one sell, okay? I guess I've never done selling before, so I guess that also makes it difficult for me to explain it. So diversification ensures financial stability, and it ensures that resilience, because it'll allow us to keep going because we have money coming in when other money falls. Sometimes both of those money streams will be doing really, really well, and then we can save more, which is the finance department's role on making sure that we're saving those things right. But that chief revenue officer, his goal is orchestrating and conducting the revenue streams coming in. So whether they go by a chief revenue officer, a chief growth officer, a chief commercial officer, their goal is to harmonize sales, marketing, and beyond. And it's not just about closing deals, it's about navigating an entire market landscape so that we understand the places where we can get more revenue, find untapped needs inside of markets, create products and services for those needs that are untapped, and then have more and more revenue coming in. And that's something that we should constantly be focused on. And if we have the ability to have someone that can focus on that, but that's really hard when you're a startup that doesn't have any venture capital and when you're grinding it out. And I think grinding it out is very difficult. It's more fun, that's for sure. And it's more rewarding in my opinion. And you can, I guess, not have so many people with their hands in the pot, and you can have control over kind of what's going on with some of that revenue a little bit better. And so that's one of the reasons why the chief revenue officer is so important. So beyond sales and marketing, the chief revenue officer compass points, but beyond the sales and marketing, the chief revenue officer really focuses on customer success, focuses on strategic expansion, focuses on creating data-driven decisions. And then he really bridges the silos. I think Johnny Crypto does this really, really good. He would be someone who would bridge silos with people, processes, and technology, so that this group communicates really good with this group, and this group communicates really good with this group, with the overall focus being creating more and more and different revenue streams. And one of the things that I think that even I could be doing better, or anybody can be doing better, all of us could be doing better in our businesses, is data-driven insights. When we have a way to manage the data and we have a clear understanding of what that data is doing, I think that it is very important to utilize that data to make decisions. One of the things that however, in that regard, I think for the first year as businesses are going, I think it's really good I think anything takes 9 months before you have enough data to make good decisions. Some people think that that's too long, but I think that that's just the right amount of time. If you're doing a podcast, do it for 9 months every single week. If that means that for 9 months, that's 30, I don't know how many weeks that is. If that's 30 podcasts, don't make any decisions on what you're doing until after you've done 30 podcasts. It's just that we get stuck in this short-term thinking, and that causes us to kind of pivot or make decisions without having enough data to really understand or make that decision. I heard from one of my favorite marketing people from This Old Marketing. I forgot the guy's name, but I listened to the podcast. And so he was the creator of the Content Marketing Institute. And he says, look, if you're going to make a podcast or you're going to do a piece of content, go hard on that piece of content for 9 months before you add any other content, and before you figure out exactly what you need to change in that. Because it will take that 9 months to a year for you to get enough information on what was happening inside of that to make good assessments. And so that's why every time that I've wanted to end this podcast, I'm just being honest, I thought of that. I said, fuck, I have not done enough episodes. I don't have enough data. I haven't tried this enough. And with the data that I have, I could be making different, decisions. So I focused, I did way more episodes. Now I'm kind of looking at that data that I'm on a regular trend of doing something a week. And not only has the podcast grown, right? But now I've done things in the past that caused it to grow more. So now I want to test those things and I want to try those for 9 months. And you're thinking, well, that's already 2 fucking years. Well, 2 years, 5 years, keep doing it. You'll get better and better and better. And then you'll be able to look back on it and say, shit, I was successful because I got enough data and I made good decisions. The other thing that's really interesting that I found from when I was researching this for this episode was that Fortune really favors the chief revenue officer. So Fortune 100 companies with chief revenue officer roles or similar roles, they see 1.8 times higher revenue growth. So if you have someone that's actually focusing on revenue, you're going to have more revenue. Because what happens inside of businesses is there's all kinds of shit that's going on. So I just released our a new round of Warrior funds. We have these things called Warrior funds in 3-2 Warrior Academy. And they're limited partnerships that we do as 506B private placement investment opportunities. Okay. And so to get that going, we had to go through 100 pages of shit. And it's not even finalized on those 100 pages that we're, not even 100% locked in on those 100 pages. There's still some things that we have to tweak, manage, make sure it works before we get this out to people. That took a lot of time. That activity in and of itself wasn't doing anything for revenue. And we have all kinds of activities that do that supplement making revenue, but aren't the key things that we need to be doing to create revenue. And so the idea and why I think the chief revenue officer is so important is because it keeps us kind of organized and focused on that. And every time I think about the revenue growth that we've had, it's because we or I or someone, we kind of shifted that focus away from that revenue, away from finding new revenue, growing new revenue, whatever. And while the end goal doesn't need to be always have consistent revenue growth, it could be maybe we have 3-4 years where it's regular revenue growth while we research some stuff, try some stuff, do some stuff, and then we come together and grow and do stuff, right? So the idea, though, is through effective planning and keeping it top of mind and having a chief revenue officer or having a place where you come back to and think about it can keep it top of mind and move forward. And that's why I'm happy that I'm specifically doing this episode, because it puts it back inside of my mind. And I hope that it's putting it back inside of your mind too, to do it as well. So some of the other things that revenue, so the cool thing about revenue diversification is it allows you to go into new areas. So one of the things that I've sat down with and talked with some of my executives about that I work with, like Johnny Crypto, who's the CEO and founder of Blockheads, is I spoke to him because he has a really depth knowledge of research and development. And what I would like to see, and I would love to see for each and every one of you, is to have a person and a team, maybe 1 or 2 people that work together. And their goal is to go and talk to consumers in the space, talk to consumers about what they're doing, asking them questions and coming back and us listening to those questions in whatever space it is that we're talking about, whether it's space, whether it's education, whether it's finance, whatever, or financial services, and saying, what are some of the problems that you're having? And if we're finding common themes, then our goal is to solve that problem. And if you can solve that problem, you will continuously build stronger in wealth. And when I talk about families being the business and families being the thing that is going to generate the wealth into the future, they have to be doing that in some capacity, because for a couple of reasons. One, they might go into new opportunities that maybe some of the other children or the other family members are interested in. And they'll find problems that exist. Those family members will solve that. And you have a whole new business or a whole new brand that gets created. A lot of the times we get stuck in this family business idea is because of the fact that we don't want the business to change. I want Age of Radio to change. I want it to go with where the needs of the people are that are involved with media, whether that means better news aggregation, whether that means creating our own products and service, creating our own plugins, creating our own software, maybe moving away from podcasts and just doing live content creation, right? I'm not saying we're moving away. I'm talking about maybe in 10, 20, 50 years, if podcasts aren't the thing and it's all live, then we wouldn't hold on to this dying thing, or we would utilize it or do something different with it. Maybe find a new way to revitalize it, right? And unless we're thinking of those and having conversations about them, we're never going to know. And one of the best ways to do that is for a family or a business to have a group of people that are going out and finding those things. And so that's one of the the things that's great about chief revenue officers is charting new waters, finding profitability, going to uncharted horizons. That's what businesses should be doing. But because in my opinion, over the past 30 years, since people are always talking about the sole goal of a business is to create profit, that's not the sole goal of the business. The sole goal of the business is to innovate new solutions for problems that are existing in the world. And if businesses focus on that, they will have all the profit in the world. And if they continue to focus on that, then they will have continued profit over and over and over and over and over. And that's why we have such fucking shitty ass businesses here in the world. And while everybody who gets a thumb up their ass or a hair up their ass just goes and finds something that's hot and tries to do it, whether they care about it or not. Perfect example. And I'm not going to name names here, but I know an individual who has a very great ice bath, a product where people come in, they do breathing exercises, they do movements, they do meditation, they get in the cold bath, he walks them through it, or the staff walks them through it. And it's all about going inside and solving the things that are bothering you inside. When you go within, you solve without, or something along those lines. Right. And so they have an amazing process, but then there's these other places that have ice baths, but the temperature's not where they need to be. There is no meditation involved. People are just forcing themselves into there. It's because they got into that business because it's popular, it's big. It's not something that they had a passion for or cared about. And I guarantee you, my friend who has this business, that he will do more in that world than anybody else will that is only looking for profit. And that's why the goal for businesses, again, and I'll state it over and over, should not be for profit. It should be for innovating new solutions to the harder problems that are in the world. And that's how you create long-lasting generational wealth. And this is going to be a long episode, so we'll be right back one more time. All right, so we have kind of an idea of what a chief revenue officer does. So I want to close out this episode by talking a little bit about like how to do these things if you don't have a chief revenue officer, and what you can do to be more, I guess, have the ability to kind of strategize your revenue for yourself. So one of the analyses that they do is what's called the competency, capability, and customer analysis. It's called the 3 C's analysis. And so competencies, you want to sit down and you want to identify your company's unique skills, knowledge, and assets. Okay. So if I were to do this for, Age of Radio, we're very good at distribution of podcasts. We understand the ad space very, very well. We have a knowledge base on the technology and how to do live streams, how to do podcast streams. We're getting much better at how the sound and the look feels to give advice on that. And if we can't do it, or I can't do that specifically, we have tons of podcasts out there that have amazing sound that we can pull, and we're getting much better at building communities, right? So we have things that those are skills and knowledge sets, right? So that's the first thing that you want to do. And you want to look at your unique selling point inside of those and see like how you differ from how you specifically do it. Like with Age of Radio, with a unique selling point or proposition for that is when you're part of the Age of Radio network, your show is going to grow more over time, get more opportunities for impressions, have the opportunity to get money, whatever the case. Like that's different because we're helping you get to the next level. Okay. That would be like the really unique selling point. No matter where you're at in your podcast journey, Age of Radio can help you get to the next level. And so you want to go through all of that skills and knowledge base that you have so that you can understand what really sets you apart, why you're good at it, and what you can be doing better, or and how you would be able to help people to better whatever it is that they need help with. Okay, then you want to look at your capabilities. So you want to access your existing resources and determine what you can execute well, understand your strengths and areas for improvement. So one of our biggest areas for improvement was finding time to talk to people about advertising or generating leads from it. So do we know how to do that? Yes, I 100% know how to do that from 3T Warrior Academy and everything, but I don't have the time to do it. So what resources do I have, or what resources I'm lacking that will allow me to get to that next step? And that's the reason why I really moved to hiring people, finding people that can help me with these things, because that was the resources that were lacking. But the resource that I was lacking is time. So how do you get more time for yourself? You get more of yourself. And how do you get more of yourself? You hire people that are like you, or that you can get to be doing the thing that you want to do. And then you want to analyze your customers. This is something that this is one of the analysis that I need to do, I need to understand our customers much better inside of Age of Radio. One of the ways that you can do that is through surveys. Johnny Crypto does this really, really well. Like I said, he's a master of research and as it regards to consumer research. And that's one of the things that I am trying to learn more of from him than anything, because I not suck at it, as I don't know. I just need to know more about it and how to do it. And so having the ability to do a survey to analyze where what people are doing, how they're finding you, all of that, you can get a much better idea about your customers. And then you can analyze that to find out where the pockets of people are. Like, I know I can tell you, I'm not going to tell you just for privacy reasons. Like, I can tell you the exact people that we have that come to 3T Warrior Academy. I can tell you the exact people that we have that come from Merlin or to Merlin. I know their wealth. I know their college education. I know their age range. And so learning to find those things in your business so that you can target those specific people more, that takes time, and that's part of this analysis. And then you can see what other solutions you could provide for these demographics. And that's why understanding your customers so important. So like the first thing that you need to do, you need to go through the competencies, capabilities, and customers, write them down, get them in a PowerPoint slide deck, get them on paper, get them in your head, get them on notes, get them wherever, so that you can see that and you can keep that in mind on a regular basis. The second thing is new revenue stream identification. So explore untapped opportunities. So you want to, when you have those competencies, capabilities, and customers, you can start looking and saying, what can I do and that meets these customers' needs, that will be in my capabilities, right? That will be in my wheelhouse, that I can go and create new products and services for. So when you're doing that, you're going to look for figuring out how to launch new products or services that align with those core competencies that you had, that I mentioned before, what the skills are, the knowledge, the assets that you have that will align with that, so that you can go and bring those to market. And then you want to look beyond your current offering. So can you add value to an existing product, or can you expand into related markets? Because maybe it's not necessarily, it needs to be a brand new product or service. Maybe it needs to be, I need to focus on going into this other market. How would I do this? How would I create market share? What's that timeline look like? And again, this is why planning is so important, which is very difficult for entrepreneurs sometimes, especially when you're entrepreneurs like me and you want to start a billion things. That's why you need good teams around you. That's why you need to have good support, pay for those people, get that money. And that's one of the reasons, real quick, to kind of go off track real fast, is that's why I tell people, if it's your business and your business is your main business, have a second job, have other income coming in, because all of that income can go to these other things. That's why I went 4 or 5 years without taking any money from 3T Fitness, because I wanted to make sure that we were building a better snowball effect of team and support. And now I'm replicating that with my Q Financial and Age of Radio business, so that we can create balls of support over the next 5-10 years. And then I can start taking money from those, because we'll be growing it so vastly. The same thing with Merlin. I don't take any money. I don't have any plan on me personally taking any money from Merlin, even as it grows. I want that pumped back so we can grow it to a piece, and then we can start taking money. And then we have multiple things that are making multiple millions of dollars a year. And then we can continue and work to other things, because in reality, business is really fun, right? It gets daunting and fun when sometimes you could get stuck doing the things that you don't enjoy sometimes. Like for instance, I'm 100% honest. I would love to sit and make bills all day long, but I would hate to write the actual bill. And because I hate doing actual legal specific document work and writing up legal documents and reading legal documents and changing legal documents and having conversations about legal documents. That is something that I am decent at. I'm really good at. That's why people ask me to do it, but I do not enjoy it anyway whatsoever. But anyways, that's a different story. So you want to look beyond your current offerings. Can you add value to existing products or expand into related markets? The other thing is you can try to partner with other organizations to create mutually beneficial revenue streams. That's kind of what I'm doing with Cause Talk Live, and I'm going to try to do that with other cosplay people, or come up with products for in the cosplay world itself. And then we want to the evaluation of new streams. So you have your competency, capability, customer analysis. That's 1. 2, you look at new streams of revenue identification, and then you evaluate what those new streams could be. So not every idea is going to exceed. You need to evaluate the potential revenue streams rigorously to find out which one's going to be the best one for you to go all in on. For how long? 9 months, maybe longer. Consider factors like how can it scale? What's the profitability going to be? And is that in alignment with your overall business strategy, right? It would make sense for Age of Radio to make plugins for podcasts. It might not make sense out the back for us to make saxophone equipment, right? It's still radio and music and stuff, but it's not really like what we focus on. It would make more sense for us to make our own audio plugins so that people can buy them to make their podcasts even better, or to make streaming equipment or podcasting equipment, make it easier, or an app on the phone, or there's all kinds of things that we can do that we are going to do that would be in line, as opposed to doing something else, like I said, making saxophone equipment. So once you do that, you have to be prepared for trial and error. So some initiatives may fail before you find the right one. And then the last thing that you can do, so those are the three things that you need to do. This last one is something that you could do. So one, you need to go through your competency, capabilities, and customers analysis. You need to look at new revenue stream identification. You need to evaluate the new streams. And then you can get professional consultancy. So seek expert advice. Now, I will say that seeking expert advice is great, and you should definitely do that. Expert advice sometimes is pricey. What would be better is being a part of great communities that you could share ideas with, or think tanks or groups that you could be a part of. And again, if you listen to me or you saw my speech at the Freedom Conference, that's one of the key elements of the rest of my life. I would like to spend the next 5 years going hard on being much better at having conversations with people on the phone, having conversations with people in person, networking with people. And I'm not bad at them. I'm fantastic at them. I want to be even better at them. I want to go deeper with it because I want to get to know people. I want to build strong relationships because, as I'm learning from Lyndon B. Johnson's biography, is that is truly the path to power, is that the relationships that you build along the way. Not saying that you should just utilize people. That's one of the things that I think I'm getting the sense of that Lyndon B. Johnson was that he just did it for his own purpose. No, but I'm talking about really caring, building strong, vulnerable relationships with people in the world. And you will always be successful if you do that. The other great thing about being a part of those think tanks and groups and those relationships is they can provide insights, help you navigate challenges, and guide your strategic decisions. So again, revenue is super, super important. You really need to focus on it. And I think to focus on it, what you can do, again, the 3C analysis: competency, capabilities, and customers. Look at new revenue stream identification, evaluation of new streams, and then get feedback either from professional consultancy or from groups and think tanks that you are a part of. And with that, like I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Let all my gardens speak for me when I'm gone. Sing for me like a song from your heart, in your chest. Take your rest.
Thank you so much for listening to The Age of Jeremy. Make sure that you subscribe and like this and share it wherever you're listening to it from. I guess share it from wherever you're listening to it. And I am recording on a Neumann microphone. I am recording to an L8. I am recording to Steinberg's Cubase, and I'm using Waves plugins. I haven't decided if I'm going to change the audio on this, so I'm not going to mention the intro or outro song because I haven't decided, but I think it's time for a little bit of change. One last time, be thankful, grateful, and time. Jeez. One last time, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you next time. Bye.
Let all my gardens speak for me when I'm gone.